I used to never really consider myself an artist until I came to Denver.
I'm Andreas, and this is Andreas Talks Art. Each episode, we'll be sitting down with various artists, discovering the triumphs and failures of their creative pursuit. As always, leave me a review, let me know how I'm doing, and if you enjoyed this episode, share with one of your friends. Let's do this thing. Yo, what's up? It's Andreas, and we're back with another episode of Andreas Talks Art. Oh, yeah. And today we got a very special guest on, our first guest, one of my good homies, Zach Pettengill. And I actually met him back at a music festival, Beauty in the Backyard, a couple years back. So we were just kind of catching up, talking about that and how that inspired us and our art. So let's get to it. Let's talk some art. So starting off, I just kind of was like curious how you got into art. What was your starting point, and like what kept you interested all this time?
I mean, I always had an appreciation for art. Like when I went to festivals and events, or things like that, it was always some not only first things I noticed, but I would always seek them out too. And then in the passing of time too, you get to see a lot of different individuals who really dive really deep into the festival scene, and you can see how much they're actually about it. And then you also see like certain things made for certain events, certain displays. I thought it was really cool. Elements Festival had not only an incredible visionary artist lineup, but they also did performance art, which I thought was pretty interesting for a festival. And it's like another art form too that I feel like is often overlooked.
Yeah, no, totally. Because performance is just this like one-time thing. Like it happens and then it's gone. Whereas other art is, say, with paintings and stuff, that's hung up and it's there to
It's
see
also
and
an
go back to.
experience.
Right. So that's interesting. So you think like your start came from festivals, like music festivals or events?
Well, I always you'd always catch me looking at art.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
And then when I realized how
saying,
many
like, as a
artists
little
there were
kid?
in, I don't know if I go that far back, but I always had an eye for beauty.
Yeah.
Like I was always definitely infatuated by art. Like I'd always I feel like that's what it's there for. To be found and appreciated, and I was always somebody that would seek art, especially in later years, a teenager into an adult.
Yeah.
Always liked aesthetic.
Is that what drew you to festivals, seeking art? Because that definitely for me was a big opening, going to festivals and seeing art on this huge scale and everyone into it. Just really allowed me to see what art could be. It was a big scale of it where I had just seen it like in school or just in museums, just a single piece, but this was a whole thing of art.
Well, music is art, right?
Yeah.
So I would say absolutely yes. That's why I would go to festivals. I feel like the music drew me in, but the thing is, especially for me, Bellaterra was one of my favorite festivals. It was way back in the day.
Where was it?
It was in upstate New York. It was actually, it's kind of amazing that it happened. I know like the last year was a whole, like, it never came back sort of deal. Almost, we've heard some other festivals that have stuff like that happen. I don't know if we need to put some names, but it was amazing that happened. I heard that they like agreed to pay Datsick like $30,000 and then just didn't, and so that's why that never happened again.
Dang.
But just to show you how underground it is. So okay, I'm at this festival, right?
Yeah.
And like, cause when you go to shows on tour now, the production is just so much crazier. I'm talking like 2012 too. But I was there. I saw like the Liquid Stranger. I saw they had Arab music and Space Jesus Live.
Nice.
They had, which was like with Mr. Bill. The production, For Life does a great job, for sure, but they also had like a lot of visionary art to go inside. They could have spent all their budget on just speakers, but they didn't. They actually wanted to involve community and the arts, and they got a bunch of muralists, and and they spent more money on lights to display these things, and you could kind of see what they did.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate that they said that they were going to pay some DJs exorbitant amounts of money and then did not. But they had a lot. They had money in the art budget and they did some really cool stuff. And it was, for me, being younger and just getting into the scene then, that's like really really opened me up to like a lot of art and seeing like all the people in the community instead of just looking at the DJ or the band or whatever. You look at everything else around you. And you kind of take it all in as part of the entire experience.
Right.
You can get the music on your headphones any other day of the week, but those people and everybody that are there to see that's what makes the experience. And for whatever reason, I feel like especially back east, I feel like the art scene is way stronger out here and people turn out for people. I feel like it's a lot harder to get a turnout for a visionary artist on the East Coast without any music.
Why do you think that is?
I always wonder, but I'm not really sure, other than the fact that I feel like in the admiration of music you can multitask. You could kind of do other things. People listen to music while they do things, whereas like if you're appreciating art on a visionary level, you're probably not doing much other than that.
That's interesting because the music festival really brings like you were saying, the full experience where you're immersed in it, and that's what really like allowed me to like grow as an artist, seeing all these things connect. And it was the first time I like experienced collaboration like that, and working with other artists. So it's funny, like that's how you got into art too, because we met at a music festival at Beauty in the Backyard.
Yep.
And what drew me to you, I was just wandering around, right? And then there was this barn with like lit up lights and a bunch of art, and I was like, I gotta go in there. And started walking around, and you were in the back with a whole display set up, like crazy pins. That's what I just started looking at your pins for the longest time. But they were so trippy. But so the like festival that I was at, I saw the art and like drew me into you. So it kind of all like ties it together, which is funny, man.
No, and that's a great example too of a festival. Yeah. Because I feel like the music and art community in that one, or I should say music and visionary art, because like it's all art at the end of the day, but I feel like in that one it seemed like there was everybody was on a more equal level, and it was an intimate experience like that, because a lot of those DJs were what made the crowd,
right,
in a sense, and like, or their friends, and it was like that was a very tight knit fest. I feel like it was a really cool one though. I love that venue. Where they have it, it's a nice farm.
Yeah, it feels very homey.
Or not, or I don't know if it was a farm, but it was nice.
Yeah, no, I think it was a farm. Like, yeah, it felt very homey. So have you been to like a lot of different festivals then?
Oh yeah.
Which ones have you been to?
A lot of Forest. I did Spring Awakening, Lost Lands.
So what like separates the big ones like Forest from like a smaller one, Beauty in the Backyard?
I feel like you do get a lot more draw with bigger names.
Yeah.
But then I feel like also some of those festivals that I just mentioned, were just like bigger, more corporate ones. I would say like Bellaterra was one of those ones that wasn't necessarily, and that was why I had like such a like a unique experience. Like I had to mention Electric Force because I did have amazing, experiences with that, and like it is corporate, but it's very well done.
Yeah.
But I do always more so even appreciate the underdogs throwing some stuff if they have a chance. They found a spot and they got some good bookings on the low or whatever. They're trying to throw something together. Equinox Festival, that was a great one. They had like G Jones headline. The last one, that was a super awesome, like kind of mini arts festival, because it is more about the art. You can tell, like Camp Bisco is one of my favorites, but they really, they don't do much for the art budget. If you were an artist and you wanted to go display your stuff at their event, you'd probably have to pay for a merch booth.
Aren't most festivals like that?
Not necessarily for visionary art.
Yeah.
It depends on what they're trying to do, but I'm saying if you were trying to get in there, they would probably, want you to just buy. But you could bring some stuff and like try and like walk around. But if you wanted to set up any sort of display, they would probably charge you instead of pay you.
Mm-hmm.
And they invest a lot of. It's basically, and the reason why is because they just invest all their money into audio, or like into the sound and production of their the DJ setup, which they have incredible production there, and that's what everyone's looking at, so they don't feel the need to do any sort of art. In fact, they just sell vending space.
Right.
They don't want necessarily people clogging up whatever, looking at whatever. They want to keep people moving to the stages so they can take good pictures.
So yeah, and you feel like you're missing out on stuff being there?
Well, it's just way more chaotic.
Yeah.
It's not that intimate.
Right.
You don't necessarily, because you'll get to know some people, I'm sure, but way more chaotic.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like Beauty in the Backyard was a lot more chill, open space.
Yeah.
And they just have like a different vibe, but they had a lot more art, like visionary art on display at Beauty in the Backyard.
Yeah. No,
as opposed to Camp Bisco, which is crazy to think about, because you definitely know who had more money and like could have definitely if they wanted to but my roommate Kirsty Cronin, she was actually one because I didn't hear of anyone ever being accepted as an artist for Bisco, but she was actually accepted, but I didn't see or I didn't know of anyone else.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big festival.
That's wild. How do you get accepted for that?
I don't know.
Yeah, just
I have to ask her.
The judges.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Good on her though.
Yeah, Beauty in the Backyard, you were selling pins, and I think you had shirts and tapestries, and this is all part of your thing, A to Z Creations.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that exactly?
It's an artist collective. I used to set up more so at shows, when things were happening, but I covered a fair amount of like the East Coast, debuting and displaying art from all different very talented artists that I knew from the East Coast and beyond. I worked with you and Heilig, who are also considered Denver natives.
Yeah.
In a sense, for sure. So that's why it was really cool coming out here and trying it out here for a bit.
So you're basically just trying to help. These are all like your friends or people you knew, trying to help them get their art out.
Yeah.
So why'd you want to do that, or why'd you just try to start that?
Just a love for the art.
Yeah.
I always loved art and being around art. I love talking about art. I liked projecting art onto people.
Yeah.
It's really fun, like giving a pin to somebody. I think that's pretty cool. You just kind of get to be like, I think that this is you.
Yeah.
And if they accept it, then it kind of is. and then I don't know. It's a cool way for them to flex your homie's artwork.
Yeah, totally. And pins are such a part of like festival culture as well as like tapestry, so it's a cool way to like connect it back to that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is going on with A to Z Creations now?
So I mean, really recently, we had the honor of working with the Wakan team and the Meraki team, which is pretty
Who's that?
cool. So Wakan is Liquid Stranger's label,
Okay.
and we were able to do a run of pins for him, but they're official, so they're gonna I think they're gonna be released in March.
Yeah.
On their website. The details are still coming in. And I also got to do some work with EPROM, which is on Meraki's label. So hopefully, I'm hoping one day I'll get to do something for G Jones. I keep being like, hey,
Yeah.
does G Jones
That'd be
need
sick.
any pins designed?
How are you getting connected with these people?
I reached out actually a while back. There had been talks, I've actually met up. I've met up with Liquid Stranger, and so talk about projecting art onto people, right? So,
Right.
I know this really awesome visual artist, Actualize. He works at the Equinox Festival. He does a lot of visuals, VJing. And very, very awesome VJ. He has incredible visuals, and we designed a shirt together. And it was his design, the water spirit. And I helped him, make a new shirt.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up giving one to Liquid Stranger, because I was like, Liquid Stranger, meet the water spirit, and then, told him my buddy, Actualize, he, helped me make this shirt, here, check it out. Yeah, and he gave me a shout out too. He was like super stoked about it.
Liquid Stranger gave you a shout out?
Yeah.
Oh, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
because I hooked him up with the shirt. What I found is like, because I couldn't even get to him, where he got to the bus too quick because I was like breaking down and stuff. But I gave it to the driver, gave it to him, and he posted it on his story. Because it was pretty late. It was like, like 3 in the morning or whatever. But I was like, yo, wait before he goes. The bus is still here. Here, grab that.
Yeah.
Because I knew I'd see him later. Liquid Stranger, I followed on tour. I'm pretty sure I went and saw him in Western Mass the next day.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, no, I love Liquid Stranger.
Yes.
It wasn't the next day, but it was like.
So A to Z Creations is your business.
Mm-hmm.
Is this what you're doing for a living?
I've diversified a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to consider it a living.
Is it what you want to be doing for a living?
I mean, I would love to be doing it for a living, but I also think that it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Necessarily, or I don't like to necessarily shove art down people's throats, but I like to I like to have it be on display, wherever it can be.
Is that something you like struggle with? Because obviously, if it's a business, you wanna grow it, and if you're trying to make money, you want to make it to where it's positive for you. It's you're getting something out of it. So I feel like that's, like you're saying, it's tough. But is that like something you had to learn going through this and trying to grow A to Z Creations?
Well, I mean, I also never really saw it as work, because you don't. It's not really work if you love it, right? But I've always wanted to find a way to make it work. I feel like if things were more fluid, I would be spending a lot more, money on collaborations with stuff if things would actually pick up. But I think if I went into the mindset of like, oh, like I need to live off of this, then I would just try and create all this, abundance that I wouldn't be able to necessarily, or that I would just have to sit on essentially. But it would, kind of start to, because I mean, over the years, I've put a lot of money into it, and it normally just comes out to, stock I have left, and the being able to move it at shows. I actually was able to get my table up at one of the drive-ins when they had them initially in Denver, but they weren't even allowed to even do any more after that. Like, that agency disbanded and everything.
Oh man.
So yeah, no, and I'd get these little bouts of hope, and I was even like hoofing it at the drive-ins for a little while, which would work pretty great. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of silly. I try and be conscious, but what I was doing was kind of silly. But people loved it. People loved it when I could bring the art to them. That's what I always felt like the point was, and that's why it's hard for me to bring art to the people online. I mean, I started a art house, and I post
An art house. What's that?
or a Facebook, AZ Creations art house.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I've just been sharing art.
Yeah.
And stuff in there, but it's not I haven't made it necessarily just about buying the art.
Right.
Just more so about a sense of appreciation. But like, I feel like if you're trying to run a business, then you're making art that sells, and that's not necessarily what the wave that I'm on. And I know that sounds so silly, but I really am just like not on the, because I could bootleg something.
Yeah.
Or as a pin, or like whatever, sell it, or but I just think that it's just more so about art, or it should just be about art.
Yeah.
I mean, people like pop art, and I like pop art too. But I don't think it should necessarily be like what it's all about.
No, definitely. It devalues it if it becomes more about the money than the art, then it's not really art anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering like how you feel about reproducing art. So with like pins and stuff, making hundreds or however many you make per different design, do you think that devalues it, or maybe adds more value to it as a piece of art, or just a creation in general?
Well, limited runs always make things rarer.
Yeah. Like the fact that something's rare as like, say, like original piece where it's only a one of one, does the reproduction of something into a pin devalue that original piece, or maybe make it more valuable, or I don't know, maybe nothing at all?
No, I think it definitely makes it more enticing, and it does definitely make it more rare. And you see a lot of these, or the lower LE pins are always worth more than the higher ones, and it is just like a numbers game. But people reprint pins too, or make like a second version.
Right.
But you always know what the original is and what the rare one is, just by how limited it is.
Yeah. No.
Or there's like only 25 of these, like
the collectibles for sure.
Yeah. I was such a collector, always. I think that's too.
What'd you collect?
I guess some of the first art I probably collected was Pokemon cards, because I didn't even play necessarily the card game itself, but I just always liked the artwork.
100% the exact same, bro. I never played the game, but collected all the cards, and they just look sick. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that would be the first art that I collected. Now that I think of it, because it was literally, I just collected it to appreciate it. I literally couldn't even tell you why. It seems so foolish, but I was young. I was like, that was the thing to do.
The characters, and that's one of the first
Tearing
art
packs
styles I got into, was just like drawing random characters. And looking back, I feel like a lot of it was inspired by Pokemon and just the crazy creatures they would make up,
Mm-hmm.
and the crazy names they give them too, like Snorlax and shit. Like, they're cool.
Yeah, it's a happy world.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and the artwork that they had was pretty cool.
Right. So now I know you've been making or painting furniture, repurposing furniture.
Yeah.
How'd that start? Is that something new, or you've been doing that for a while?
So I used to paint furniture for my parents' store back east.
When you're saying painted, are you just like with a brush, like they want this to be white?
Right. Basically,
Okay.
everything I painted was black, white, or gray.
Yeah.
It was a lot of commissions, or they'd be like, oh, we need this dresser painted black. And we're like, okay. do the dang thing, put a nice finish on it, however they want it, But my parents, they run a nonprofit that also has a store that they refinish broken down furniture.
Okay.
Or anything, because we used to just try and discount it down to like nothing, and you know what, it really didn't work. And they were like losing money, but then they started like refurnishing them, making them nice. Once they started getting more money together to be able to do it, because it was essentially a nonprofit that started a business, so to speak, based off of what they would be throwing out otherwise.
Yeah.
Or and they would obviously they would buy pieces too, or rarely, but if it was exquisite.
Gotcha.
Or whatever.
So where are you getting the furniture from now?
I've been just finding it, just luckily, like Goodwill.
Yeah.
Arc. I just hunt
Nice.
around. Yeah.
And what do you paint on it now? Because now you're not just painting like one color or whatever.
Yeah. So I got inspired to do that when I came out here. So I just been doing like pour style tops.
Yeah.
And finishing them down with like I'll blend the colors that I'm gonna use for the pour to do the like exterior.
Yeah.
And then I'll just pour the top. And I've been doing them like super sloppily, I guess. Well, so when
I'm wondering how you're doing them, because like some of these pieces are pretty big, and it's not easy to just like pour acrylic and
right.
That goes everywhere, man.
No, well, normally so I just thought it was funny because normally when I would finish furniture back east, my stepdad would always get on me about the drips.
Yeah.
Or if there's ever like a little team, and because drips are a sign of sloppy work too. But like it just they shouldn't have drips. But for me doing this like artistically, I wanted it to have drips, and I wanted them to be like drippy tables. Like that's why I was painting the outside first, so that when it drips, the drips would stay. And like some people do think it's sloppy, or like and it is kind of sloppy, but it's like part of the aesthetic that makes it, because the whole thing is supposed to be just super busy.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's melting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole idea is to make it as busy as possible, and like because I am gonna do some that don't have any drips, like with clean sides. Like I'm gonna do a couple, but I do like these really busy ones, and I feel like there are gonna be some people that do. I feel like I am in my character naturally just like a messy person. Like I feel like there's nothing I could do about it. So like in doing these, I was trying to not fight it and just
Just let it happen.
Yeah. You know, on some of it, and especially because, you know, to sand it off and repaint would just be wasteful. And these are meant to be like, you know, pieces that might have otherwise, not all of them. Like this coffee table was pretty sturdy, but you know, I just
So like, is this all you're working on now? Is like tables and furniture? Or are you doing any other art projects?
I've been, you know, trying to get into the sketchbook, but I hadn't been as inspired to do anything yet. But I did get some really good inspiration last night for like a series I think I'm gonna start doing of like little mini like swords and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, like potentially like a
necklaces.
Yeah,
Nice.
something. I'm not really 100% sure. Like if I'll make it a pin or a necklace, or maybe I'll just do both, or like it's gonna be like a little series thing. But I am like, you know, more interested in trying to find some collaborations. I do have a collaboration coming out with Simi Alexander and also Heilig.
What are you working on?
We got some pins in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, that I'm pretty excited about.
Cool.
It's gonna be some nice 3D pins.
Yeah.
By some awesome local Denver artists.
So how do you like make a 3D pin?
So it's essentially, I mean, you know, it's a design process for making any pin. It's just like part of that process. In not necessarily a huge part. It's just I don't know, something that I like to use a lot in my pins.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So you said like recently you haven't been feeling inspiration. Where do you like get your inspiration from?
Well, so I used to never really consider myself an artist until I came to Denver. Really, I was more so like on digital cleanup.
Yeah.
And like more of a digital artist, and I would just clean up files for artists to help them make their artwork into merch. I didn't want to step on any of the artists' toes or do anything like that, or like, you know, I didn't want people to think I was gonna steal or, you know, like take from them in a sense. But like I just wasn't necessarily. I was more of an idea person. I would just like more in the planning and organization parts of the of helping the artists. Right. Call myself like an artist liaison.
Helping them so they could like get their art out in the world.
Right.
So what changed when you came to Denver?
I did become inspired to try things myself too.
Would you work on first, or what started it all?
Would it be bad to go into the Wook stuff?
It's man, whatever you want to talk about.
Oh man. Well, the first art I started designing was spoons, because even I didn't really take my art seriously.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I designed some of those because also I didn't want to, I didn't want to be somebody that uses or that does like anything that could be taken as like bootleg.
Right.
Because like I always license the artwork I use. I always pay my artists for everything, and I hate to see people take money from other artists, you know, in taking something that's not theirs and selling it as their own. Which you don't see too much, but or you know, they used to have bass drops on everything. You know, if I recall, and I'm, you know, positive that no one actually, you know, I bet you they gave him money by buying tickets from him, but I feel like that was, or you know, tickets and merch, but they didn't necessarily pay him for the rights to use the, you know, whatever. But it's or so the whole idea with the spoons was that they weren't pins. Like, I know, because I love G. Jones, right? And, like, let's say I wanted to make an ode to G. Jones, but I didn't want to, like, make a pin because he sells pins. But he does. He won't sell a spoon. Like, nobody will. That's like nobody in their right mind will sell a spoon, right? So that was kind of like why I did it, because I didn't want to, like, step on their toes like that. I designed it as a joke, because I was trying to think of, like, things to make for Equinox Fest. And I was like, and he was headlining. I was like, oh, like, this would be cool. Or, like, it'd be cool if I could just, like, do this and, like, make a bunch of money. But I was like, I don't want to, like, do that to him, like, at his fest, and, like, have the connotation there, so to speak. But so I, like, I didn't end up doing it, and then a buddy of mine saw it later, like, because I, like, showed him, like, months later, and he was like, dude, like, he wanted it for his company, so he's just like, like, I want this, we should do this, like, why haven't you done this, like, what? And it did take off pretty quickly. But once he, like, kind of backed me on it, I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Not at the G. Jones Fest, but, like, okay, let's do it. And but I had reached out I guess I didn't reach out to him first, but so that was the first one. And then there were ones that came after. I made one for or inspired by Shades.
Yeah.
And that was what led to the Meraki contract.
Okay.
Was they asked, they saw me design it, or this girl was starting a Shades merch group for, like, their stuff, or just, like, as a whatever, like, a place to sell merch.
Yeah.
And the runner of the group asked me if I'd give one of the necklaces away as, like, a or something to make people enter the group, and I said sure. And then the actual management contacted them and was like, hey, we want to make this group an official group. And they were like, okay. And they were like, and wait, who did this? And so, I told them, I was like, yeah, that was me. And they almost wanted to license it.
They were cool with just selling spoons.
they like want to license it, but I was like, no, I'll do, like, anything else, like, or like or yeah, like, I was like, I'll make you anything you want.
Yeah.
No, and then we got this awesome pin out of it, and it was really funny because they haven't released any information. I'm really excited about the EPROM pin too. They haven't released any details on when they're releasing it, even to me. Yeah, which is like, I'm like, when is it? But they tweeted it, because I talked to Jay the other day, he still didn't tell me, but EPROM tweeted it, like, a while back, and G. Jones commented that this pin turned him back into a Wook. And for me, I thought that was just, like, the craziest shit ever. And, like, so because of the spoon, I got to do the official pin for him, and and I'm hoping that since I did a G. Jones one, they're gonna let me do a G. Jones pin. Like, I'm, like, really hoping, because it's, like, my hero. Dope. Yeah, and I just want to be on the right team,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, like, really cool to be able to help them out, and, like, I also want to eventually try and plug the right, artist with the right musician, right visionary artist with the right musician.
Yeah. No, totally.
It's cool when they can find that flow.
Yeah, really, like, connect together. Yeah. So, and you kept making a bunch more spoons because this, like, all kind of blew up more than you expected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a little bit. Yeah. It's funny, especially out here.
Really?
Yeah, or, like,
You going up to
It's
Red
funny
Rocks?
though. No, not yet. Like I haven't even hit any of the like shows, but I know the underground scene isn't absolutely dead here, and I've been I haven't been able to necessarily get my table up anywhere, my display, but I've been still selling wholesale to other vendors in that regard for that.
Okay. And because this caused you to start a whole new thing separate from A to Z Creations. Because I know you were saying earlier, like there's like the good and the bad kind of like stuff you felt there was like so like
no, I wish it was, I wish I could give people who care more about the art right now,
right,
you know, and it does not please me that it's taken off as it did, and it's mostly online, but even around here I feel like in terms of if I was talking to another vendor, right, and I showed them, you know, what I had, they would probably want that more than the artwork, and the sad thing is because it would sell,
right,
and you know and it's a little heartbreaking, and it's like maybe, you know, it's just because those underground scenes aren't as conscious necessarily, but I mean, you know, who's to judge?
So do you think it's more the scene or people in a whole not as interested in art? Or
I think people
scene?
Well, you know what? I mean, it's just the times. I think it's just the struggle is real right now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as that's what I was saying. Trying to run it as a business takes away the appreciation for it. It was always just about having art on display for people to look at and networking.
Yeah.
You know, or just getting to know the artist, and I just feel like there isn't as easily, or there just isn't as much of an environment for it right now. I feel like I could go to, or you know, pre-COVID, when I was working A to Z, I would go to 3 or 4 shows in a week, from, you know, anywhere from Philly to New Hampshire. There'd be all these different shows with lots of different artists set up at. Most of the shows that I could set up at, they would have featured artists and stuff like that. It would be more of it would be around music for sure, but it wouldn't be corporate. It'd be more on the underground. I get a couple corporate ones in Mass. I could get some corporate shows, but it would be mostly more underground, smaller communities, lower caps, intimate.
That's cool.
You know, it'd be more of a, you know, if it's super loud, it's hard to look at anything but the stage, or like, you know, but it was more of a, you know, a lot of people might not even necessarily know the music, but they know the agency that was throwing the event, or like they know the people that were gonna be, like, you know, the artists that were gonna be there, stuff like that. So it'd be more, you know, more niche social thing rather than a like party rah-rah thing.
Right, like actually like connecting and getting to know people.
Yeah,
that's cool. So basically, like everything you did was based on events and like gatherings with people. So like, it's just been devastating. Like,
yeah, I mean, basically, especially for, you know, trying to get the art to the people.
Have you been able to find workarounds through like online communities and?
Yeah, or you know, like I said, I started the art house, and like, you know, I've been sharing art there, and I try and have that be like a safe space for art. But I mean, you know, it's not. I haven't been using it to like run the business. It's been like a little hobby thing.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just like because I do care about the art around, and you know, like I haven't even posted my stuff in there. I've just been posting other people's stuff, or you know, just like trying to get a more, you know, just trying to get people to look at art more.
Yeah, and just appreciate it, because I feel with today and all the technology, everything's become so fast paced with like different social media. People just swipe through and glance and don't take the time to understand things.
Dude, social media is killing me, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like literally the antithesis of mankind. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I feel like the rhetoric is just unbelievable.
But you use it.
Yeah, no, I literally do.
Like, why do you use it then?
To sell stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. And like, yeah, it's just so weird. I feel like the social facet is just like literally unreal.
No, it's become a game. It's become like completely commoditized, and people like it started off completely like just like friends and stuff, but now it's moved into business, and it's this weird like line of you don't know what's what, you know?
Well, no, I just feel like I don't know. Literally, it's just mostly irreverent. Or, I mean, you have all types of people. There's all types of social media.
Yeah.
But there's so much irreverent bullshit. Which I mean, I love irreverent bullshit. Don't get me wrong, but like, yeah, like you know, memes and just like you know, it sets a. I feel like okay. The best example of this, I feel like back in the day, you know, I definitely knew of 4chan. You know, I was a beatard, if you will. You know, internet. You know, back in like high school, and that was like where I first got associated with memes. It was there, you know, they post like all sorts of shit. But the thing about that is it's all anonymous, right?
Right.
That's why I feel like all the best memes came from anonymous, and it was funny because it was coming from anonymous. But now when you get all these memes coming from actual people, you're like, oh, like you get to start to see a dark side to them, or like, you know, it depends on where the humor's at. But like once you take the anonymity away from that, I feel like, you know, because you don't, what, do memes build communities? Or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It'd be like, yeah, it'd be cool. You know, this stupid meme of SpongeBob or whatever, I'll post it, it'll get like 50 likes, but like I try and like post the homie's artwork, and you know, you don't get as much attention. It's just kind of like, I don't know. A good meme's a good meme. Don't get me wrong, but
for sure.
You know, I feel like everybody's just like we're in this like meme rhetoric culture.
Quick reaction, but that's how you build communities online. It's like so many of them I see are just built off of memes because it has this like quick reaction where people are gonna react to it just because I feel it's easy, you know, like the art you have to actually look at it and understand it to like comment or say something about it, but like the meme, like you just fucking throw up any emoji, like it doesn't matter, you know. It's just like this simplified version of communicating.
Well, I mean, you even think of comedy in general.
Right.
There's a rhetoric to that, or like, you know, the way people need to be almost abrasive to be funny. Abrasive or outrageous, right? Yeah, I don't know. I just always thought it was like pretty interesting, or I don't know. I was listening to roast battles, and you know, it's all just like, yeah, like angry mad shit. It is funny though, but it's just like, yeah, I don't know. You might want to listen to something that like makes me think.
Right. Well, just like you said, like with the aggressive coming out in comedy, it's like the loud stuff like overpowers the quiet stuff. Like there's people who appreciate like quiet comedy or like thoughtful stuff, but they're not gonna laugh as loud as the people who like the outrageous.
Or like, yeah, the outrageous, or like, you know, just like irreverent shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The same thing with
we
the
need
memes.
We need more George Carlins. No, but I mean, even him, or you know, it's just like all so dark, but it was funny because it was dark.
Yeah.
But like, it's still dark.
Right, but
it makes you think.
Dark humor is funny just because like it makes you think, and it just kind of like connects you because like it's that stuff like you don't say out, but then you hear someone else saying it in a funny way, and you're like, yeah, okay, we're all on the same page here. You know.
I mean, yeah, you'd like to think. Well, I always thought it was really funny that George Carlin was even considered a comedian. Or but because I felt like there's so much truth, and obviously he was just like super funny, but like I felt like there's so much truth to a lot of the shit he was saying, but he would like put it in his stuff and make it funny, and
Right.
I don't know, I feel like he was definitely on point about some stuff, especially government, or I don't know.
I mean, that's the beauty of comedy, being able to like take these crazy like ideas and put them in a way that's digestible and funny for people, so they like react with it quickly. Like it's this art form to like get people to understand things through humor.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's cool when people like use it in like
right
a greater sense.
Yeah, no, like one of his bits too is like all your stuff is your stuff, and everybody else's shit is shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was pretty funny. You ever notice that? He's like, you ever notice that? It's like your stuff is your stuff, and everybody else's shit is their shit.
Yeah. Like you like leaving your friend's house, like that's my stuff. That's his shit. That's my stuff.
Your shit?
That's
Yeah,
your
get
shit.
your shit out of here.
Disrespect. Damn. Well, dude, I think that was a good place to wrap it up. Where can people like follow you, check out your art, or anything you're sharing?
Our Instagram at A2Z Creations CT, and then A-Z Creations on Facebook.
Cool. So last question.
Yeah.
What does art mean to you?
What does art mean to me?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, I don't know, art for me is like everything. I don't know. I've always been in it, lost in it, just looking for it.
Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Andreas Talks Art. Don't forget to leave me a review. It helps me improve the show. And if you got anything out of this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you shared it with one of your friends. Till next time, we out.